Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all between. Fred, my brother, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Vince. How are you, my friend?
Pretty good, pretty good. So today we have metalhead Fred Bonanno filling in for Jason Clark as he watches Michael Sweet's concert live tonight. So
Sweet.
Fred figured he would come on in and fill in the spot for Jason. And Fred, who do we have today?
Well, Vince, today we are going to be interviewing a couple members from the band Rozario. And I was introduced to Rozario through the website that I write album reviews for, Metal Temple. And I was assigned to review their album, To the Gods We Swear. And so I always do a quick internet Google search on bands that are new to me, especially when I'm reviewing a debut album. So I found out they hail from Norway. David Rozario, the lead vocalist, attended a few concerts that guitarist Stein Yethholm and drummer Pearl Helge Bruval, and he liked what he saw and heard. The three of them went into the studio. They recorded a 3-song demo. They felt the chemistry was right, so they brought in guitar virtuoso Johan Jampfalt and bassist Anders Halsam Engrum, and Rozario was born. They released their debut 12-song album last month, October 10th, on the Pride and Joy music label, and they'll be opening for Jeff Tate's Operation Mindcrime band in Oslo, Norway on the 22nd of November. The album is a true headbanger, and I rated it a perfect 10 in my review. So let's please welcome to CreatiVity Talkin, lead vocalist David Rozario and guitarist Stein Yethholm.
What's up, guys?
Good evening.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Good to see you guys.
Welcome,
Great to see
welcome.
you too.
So you guys look like a bunch of dudes not to be messed with. You look like guys that I'd hang out with. Totally.
Oh, that's nice.
So, of course, anyone who's listened to this show, we are huge Queensryche fans. Jeff Tate, Tate Band. We've had the Tate Band. We've had Mark Daly on, who's also opened up for Jeff.
Yeah.
So now we got you guys. And so what's it like getting that call? Because to me, Jeff Tate, legendary voice, one of the best. What is it to get that call to open up for that sound?
It was
very specific,
It was almost unbelievable to get that message, And Jeff Tate has always been one of my favorite vocalists because his voice is absolutely awesome. I'm probably gonna need some diapers when I'm up there.
We're gonna get some tough competition there, man.
Yeah, I know Jeff. I've been friends with him for a few years now. He is one of the most nice, low-keyed guys you'll ever meet. On stage, he is Mr. Theatrics, and he's belting it out. Backstage, man, he is so cool and so mellow. Just have a glass of wine with him, and you'll see.
Yeah.
He loves his wine.
Yeah.
We say hi, and we would say hi from you guys to him as well.
Yeah, you know what? I actually told his wife Susan to let Jeff know we're interviewing you guys. So she said that's cool. So you can tell him Fred and Vince said hi.
Yeah. No one does the slow walk and commands the stage like Jeff Tate. Now I mentioned the slow walk a few times, but he's got such a command, and to have a voice like that not only you create a legendary band and a sound, but he also created his own vocal style. So now there's so many people in the Jeff Tate school of vocals. I mean, that's got to be pretty cool when you come into a genre after 20 years. And when Queensryche EP came out, they shook things up.
Yeah, they did.
Much like getting an album review a 10 out of 10,
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
And that's not your first one, from what I hear, correct?
No, that's right. We actually got all over very, very, very good reviews. So I think we have 3 10 out of 10, or 2 10 out of 10, and 1 6 out of 6. Actually, another US magazine, Highwire Days in LA, gave us 6 out of 6. And we have a lot of 9.5 out of 10 and 9 out of 10. So it's been all over a very, very good received album. Yeah.
I guess we did something right.
Yeah, and I love the opening of the band. Or album. You start out with a nice 1:20 little instrumental, little hard instrumental. And as I put in my review, I said, I know this album is going to rock, and it did not disappoint. It did not. David, I gotta ask you, right? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And we wanted to have that, that the Screaming for Vengeance album from Judas Priest. You have the Hellion, the opening, which is so iconic. So we were kind of thinking we want something like that, so we can use it on the album and as a starter of the concerts as well. So it's kind of inspired by that.
Yeah, that is a badass album cover.
Yeah, it is.
Now, is that Odin?
Yeah.
That is Odin.
Because I noticed he's got the eye patch and then the two. Now, are these axes or are these ceremonial?
For him, probably yes, but the Vikings, they did have axes like that. They were light-weighted and very sharp. And as you can see, it's not too much metal until you reach the edge. So they're easy to work with.
I always wondered what it would like to grow up with the background of the Vikings. Like that, like we come from a totally different thing, and we don't have any of that. So that's got to be pretty good, especially if you're a metal band. Yeah, I'm a descendant from Vikings. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
No.
So how did you guys start your musical journey? Were you guys in a bunch of bands previously? How did this all come together?
Well, I started out, I think almost prior to high school with music, and when I was a kid, I was listening to my father playing his records in the living room, and I was sitting there drumming on the sofa, and then in school I got together with one of my classmates, and he had a band. And they did old Black Sabbath songs, so I started out there with as a vocalist. Later on, I picked up the bass and learned how to play that, and carried on for some years with vocalists and bass work. And right now, it's full focus on the vocals.
Right on. Like I remember for a very long time, it was like throughout the 80s and the mid 90s here in Chicago, you could not find a bass player.
Oh.
Like everyone wanted to sing or everyone wanted to be the lead guitar player. Everyone wanted to shred. No one wanted to sit in the pocket and drive the car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is very interesting now. Like, I don't know how many high profile bass players we've interviewed, but they've mostly been bass players. I just think how things work out. It's kind of fun, And the bass players back in the day were a lot of people didn't cover them,
Oh, they were mostly in the background, I remember.
Oh, totally. The coolest guy I ever saw at the Rainbow Bar and Grill. I walk in there, Lemmy's playing on his machine on the corner. And it's like Tuesday at 2 p.m. There's 5 people maybe in the whole bar. And I turn around, right next to the door is John Entwistle just hanging out with his foot up, like by the door, just looking cool, at like 65, however old he was. But you walk in, there's nothing going on a Tuesday afternoon, and you see Lemmy and John Entwistle, the two polar ends of bass players.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But without Entwistle, I mean, he was the anchor for the Who. Everyone else was just batshit crazy, and he held
over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, he held that band together, I feel.
Yeah, when you have a crazy drummer like that, somebody has to hold it together.
God. Yeah, I mean, that was,
When you see those videos with Keith Moon, it's amazing that the kit doesn't roll over all the time.
Sure. and what's interesting now is, now if someone's having an issue, they pull them off the road. Like, okay, you need to go to rehab or you need to go, get your mind straight or whatever. and their people are getting their tours, canceled or paused, and they're actually letting, the artist letting the artist get better, which is
Yeah.
a new thing, and that's crazy that it's new.
Yeah.
Beth Hart, for example, she, you guys know who Beth Hart is?
Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
Yeah, so she canceled her tour for mental health reasons, took like a 2.5 month pause. I just got tickets for a show in May. So she's back, and it's really good, because when I was in the music business in the 80s and 90s, when I was, humping it, everyone was wasted.
Yeah,
And it was
it's
really, I
true.
mean, like there's some scary situations, like if you guys know. And now you go to a show, and people now know, thanks to people like Jeff Tate and the guys from Judas Priest and Metallica and Motley and all these guys, Dora Pesh, Scorps. Now they know that they've got 40 years if they want it.
Yeah.
So it makes a huge difference in the way that it's being approached, I think.
Yeah, true that.
So a lot of people approach me and you're a rocker, right? Have a beer, have a drink, or whatever. So they still think that it's all sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but those days are gone for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like my son's friends came up to me after they saw The Dirt. They're like, "Was it like that, really?" I'm like, "Oh, it was way worse than that."
Yeah.
You haven't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. We're all your
So
parents now, so we can't exactly tell you exactly what happened.
Yeah. So, David, the one question I got to ask you right off the bat is your name is spelled R-O, but the band, you got a Z in there instead of the S. What'd you do that for?
Well, to tell the truth, it looked cooler with the Z than the S.
That's simple.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
So so you guys did you guys basically get together during the pandemic?
I think it was just before the pandemic broke out. We got together, and like you said, I was at a club, a local club, and saw these guys with their band. And that was 17, 18, I think.
Yeah.
And I really loved what I saw, and that inspired me to think about my songs that I had lying around, and eventually I contacted Stein and Peppa, the drummer.
So you guys knew each other just through the music biz locally, or were you guys already hanging out or been in bands prior?
We've been in different bands prior, but we didn't know David. He just attended a few of our concerts, and that's how we got to know him. He was, he's a very high person, so he looks like a rocker and a biker, so he kind of stood out, and he always hung after the gig, so we got to talk to each other, and he was a really cool guy. So when he got in touch and said he had some songs he wanted to record, we said, okay, let's do it. And that was just the basic idea was that David just wanted to record. He was in another band, a prog band with really long songs, and these songs were shorter, more focused. And so his other band didn't want to do them, but he wanted to do them. So we did those 3 songs with him, and during that process we thought, oh wow, this is something, we can do something here. And then both me and the drummer started to write songs, so all the 3 of us have written songs for the album. So it's 3 songwriters, but David he writes all the lyrics, but music wise we have 3 different writers, and you kind of can hear that because it's kind of little different styles. The most heavy song is the drummer's actually songs.
Go figure.
So Stein, you and the drummer were in a band. Obviously, you just said. So how married were you to these this band that you were able to just make the jump and say, you know what, I'm going this route instead?
This was just a band we were doing occasionally, actually, over many years. So it was not like a band with a big plan or anything. We just did it for fun when the time was right. So there was actually no future plans for that band. So when
easy,
we got
easy transition.
yeah, and all the other people in that band had a lot of different bands they played in. So this was just one of the projects, So there wasn't any special focus on it. So, but when after we recorded the demo of the 3 songs and we kind of saw this might go somewhere, then the 3 of us started to focus just on this project.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's when the pandemic occurred as well. So we got a lot of time to focus on writing songs.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed with some of my musicians friends, they have so many projects going on, and I have to tell them, I said, man, if you do 20% less, you'd be 80% better. And I tell them, I'm like, sometimes there is a reason for a producer, and you're one of those people, even though you're prolific, you need a producer because it'll never end. Like tweak. Like, okay, there's a point when the book's done. There's a point when the boat's built and you got to put it on the water and push it away, And
True.
From a time when we came up, when if you were in more than one project, it was like cheating on your old lady. It was like, oh, you're cheating on your girlfriend with another band. Now everyone's got 6 different projects going.
It's kind of the times are quite different because there's so little money in this these days. So what the guys do if they are living of the music, they have to have several projects. If not, they can't live of it. So I think that's the big difference, because back in the day, if you were in Queensryche, you had a living.
Yeah.
But nowadays you have to have maybe more projects to make a living out of. But this, for us, we have all the jobs, so this is kind of the only musical project we are focused on now. So
yeah, it really is amazing what's happened to the music. Now, like Live Nation here in the States, I don't know if they're doing it. I don't know how they work outside of the United States, but they're giving certain bands back a lot of merch money, or not taking any merch money, because they were taking 30% by the time everything was done. The band was only, they had a mid-level band and they did a breakdown, and basically the band was doing all this insane amount of work for 10% or 12% of the merch. That's incredibly sad. You know what I mean?
Yes, it is.
I mean, hey, if you're a rock star, you're going out and touring and you're giving up your life and your birthdays and your families and dinners, and you should be compensated for it.
Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with making good money.
Oh yeah, you have to make some money if you want to keep this going. So
like, what's going to happen? I'm concerned about these younger bands who don't have the wherewithal to. I mean, I guess maybe they're figuring it out better than we are because they're young and they know the technology or something, and they can just, But everything's still. I mean, I just directed 2 music videos, very low budget, but it's still a cost. It's still time. It's still, there's all these things that people don't, realize,
No, that's true. We spent quite a lot of money on recording the album because we didn't do it. We as you said we had a really great producer and recorded in his studio. So it was kind of it cost quite a lot, and we have used money for videos and stuff like that. So and we're never going to get those money back probably. So but for us it's worth it, because this I wanted to do this for 40 years, so at last we've done it.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a great vehicle for people to see. I mean, especially now, how are people going to see you? I mean, if you go on Spotify or whatever, how many millions of other bands are you
Crazy.
It's nuts, you know. And now Spotify wants to pay the people who aren't getting a lot of streams even less. You know,
True that.
the company always wins. We get it. The house always wins in gambling. But I mean, to make someone, you shouldn't be destitute. You know what I mean? If you're giving to the world and you're sharing joy and, you know, you're helping people out, you know, there needs to be something. Hi, how you doing? There needs to be something to, you know, maybe it's going to take people like, you know, like Elton John and Paul McCartney. They were talking about, you know, starting something similar to Spotify and actually paying the talent. But it's going to take iconic level people who are basically done because they can't get screwed by the business anymore to do it.
Yeah, it's more likely to be concerned for all the young people who wants to start playing music, because I don't know that they probably don't have the means to pay for all this, no matter how much they want it. But
Right.
so there should be some kind of arrangement for these guys who wants to, you know, be creative and who really believes in making good music for real, you know.
Yeah, and in some countries, musicians and artists are, you know, not, I don't want to say supported by the state, but they get a stipend from the state.
Yeah.
You know, in some countries, so they can be professional, so they can focus on being an artist, because certain countries realize that art and culture is important. I mean, just got the whole world through 2.5 years of madness. You know, so it's cool to finally see all the good stuff coming out of what happened during the pandemic. All these great albums we're starting to hear now. Great books are starting to come out. Movies, you know, they got to work on that. But there's probably a lot of great documentaries coming down the pipe, you know. But so how many dates are you doing with Jeff Tate?
I'm afraid this is the only one in Oslo that we are joining, and yeah, I think he comes directly from Stockholm to Oslo, and I'm not sure where he goes after Oslo.
And metal is still huge out by where you guys are.
Yeah, metal is huge in kind of closed societies, because you know how people
it's huge in a small community.
Right, but well, you know, here in America, people are so like, oh, okay, what's the next thing? But like international audiences seem to stick with it longer. And you know, and that's just my view. I could be totally wrong.
Oh, we have a lot of great bands, Norwegian bands, but like I said, it's a small community, but people are very, very dedicated when they show up.
They are.
Yeah, I thought it was cool when they did Whackin', and this year they had the Lemmy statue there for all time.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Okay, go ahead, Fred.
I have a question. I have a question for Fred, actually.
Sure.
So you have to tell me why you gave the album 10 out of 10.
Well, I
haven't read the review yet. So.
I'll give you I'll give you the last paragraph of my review.
Yeah.
And it says, heavy duty rockin' riffs, check. Solid, tight backing rhythm section, check. Steamy, brazen guitar licks, check. Powerful, passionate vocals, check. Absorbing and engaging lyrics, check. I guess you could say they check all the boxes on a true headbanging heavy metal experience. So it just had everything I like. Vince is more the technical guy because he's worked in the industry. I'm the fan. So when I hear something I like, I know why I like it. And I'm an old school metalhead. And there was no clunkers. There was not one song on this album that I did not like. They all really, really rocked and hit good and hit hard. I particularly loved Was it Nightmare in Flames? That one had quite a storyline behind it.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering right. And it just was a good rockin' album, solid vocals blended. The guitars and vocals didn't overpower each other, so it just checked all the boxes for me. And when I hear an album like that, I usually stand up when I'm writing it because it's hard to sit and write because it was such a great album, and I loved the shredding part of it. I loved your vocals, David. It was just a very, very solid album. And I'm hoping that once the review gets out there and all these reviews you've been getting from and then our little interview today, more and more people will find out about you, and then you'll have a nice crowd in Oslo next week for Jeff, and that'll just introduce you to a whole nother crowd.
It will.
Yeah, and Fred only listens to heavy metal. Like
Yes.
he does. He's not a genre.
That's why it says
lawyer. Yeah,
metalhead.
Fred. So
Vince gives me shit for that. But.
Yeah, I had to ply him with alcohol just so he would listen to blues at a blues bar.
Yeah. Yes, and it worked. It worked. I did. Yeah, but
of course there's alcohol at the blues bar.
I'm 66 years old. I listened to my first heavy metal album when I was 14, which was Black Sabbath's debut album, and I was hooked ever since then. The first sound of, Ozzy screaming, "God, please no." I mean, I fell in love with metal, and I just never really ever got into any other genre. I like hard rock and rock and roll, but metal is it for me. So.
Yeah, can you imagine if Black Sabbath grew up in a different town with a different industry that was a little bit more like donuts or something? Like what would heavy metal sound like rather than the steel mills?
Yeah. And it take a freak accident for Naomi's fingertips to get cut off to kind of develop that toned down, darkened sound.
It's really interesting. All these lucky accidents. You know what I mean?
It was the day he was going pro as a guitar player. That day he cut the fingers.
That's crazy.
That very day.
It was the day?
Yeah.
That's even cooler.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, you think about I had a career-ending injury. I was down for 3 years. That changed my life. I'm glad I went through it. And, I'm sure he's the same way. But sometimes you need those things to happen. You had to steer the ship,
Yeah.
And you never know.
No. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. And the really good thing, too, about with the technology that we have is they're finally putting out albums with great mixes. I don't know what the problem was for so long. You'd listen to an album and you're like, oh, my God, again. The mix would be totally off. I did something not too long ago and I was working with the band and the recording and the guitar is out of tune. How do you release a recording with the guitars out of tune? I mean, I haven't sitting in front of a vocal, in front of a board in 20 years, and I can hear that right away.
Yeah.
That one of the guitars is not in tune. What are you doing? Very bizarre. But it's cool to see all these younger guys coming up too, and they have a mastery of that for their age. They're way far ahead of how long it took us to do it back in the day, let's say, So that's nice to see. But now we're coming to a point where we have all these legends. You have your Iron Maidens, your Judas Priests, all these guys this is it.
Yeah, they're gonna have to draw the line somewhere, maybe in the not too far away future, I think.
Because I've been talking to people and they're like, oh, they'll just come back with another reunion tour. I'm like, they're 78. You can't okay, I'll come back when I'm 90. No, I wouldn't want to tour now and I'm 54. You know what I mean? I get tired watching Fred travel, and I'm in my living room,
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, AC/DC when they did the power trip. Brian Johnson he's 76 years old now.
Yeah.
Imagine doing that vocals.
No way.
In an age of 76, that's crazy.
And anyone who's seen AC/DC, that's a 3-hour show. There's no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. And then for him to come back and do that after he had not done it for 4 or 5 years.
7 years, actually. Yeah, 7 years.
7.
Yeah. And he had his hearing
Wow.
thing. So, yeah.
Right. And he developed
Yeah.
technology that used to be a desktop thing. I actually have one of my buddies. I sent him to the same doctor that he was using because he had the same ear condition.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if he can get the same thing he's got. But
my brother went to see McCartney last year, and he said the same thing. What's McCartney? 76, 77? Same thing. He played for 3 solid hours. No intermission, 3 solid hours.
That's crazy. I just went and saw Ringo Starr. Well, he's 82.
Yeah. My God.
And
Crazy.
It was a great show. It was fun, you know. Lukather's there, and another dude from Toto, and you had the guy from Average White Band, the bass player. Then you had Men at Work, guitar player and singer. He's really good. Colin Hayes is a really good songwriter. If you're not in if you're looking for non-metal stuff. But again, 82 years old, and then the next week I saw The Darkness, which was another experience. But I like, because we came up in the spectacle of going to a crowd of 30,000 people, and now most of the bands that I see are theater bands. And man, that is just so much more enjoyable. I know it's not as much money for the band, but as far as the interaction of feeling the thump of the bass drum and the thump of the bass cabinets, and when David hits a note, we get to go like that and look. I'm like, holy shit! But like in a big, because I've even heard from artists, when you're playing that big, after a certain point, it doesn't even matter.
No, it's just it's just a crowd of people. Yeah.
Because they were talking on Ozzy's podcast the other day, the new festival that one of them's working on introducing or something. They said the crowd is so far away from the stage you can barely see them. They're like 80 feet away from the lip stage, the stage, the lip of the stage. That's crazy. But they pack them in. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So how do you guys go about writing music? Do you guys have an idea, or do you guys all bring something? Like, did you have writing sessions, or?
Stein here is the riff factory among us. He comes up with new riffs all the time, and that triggers ideas along the way, and I get an idea. I need a topic to write a lyric. I always have a story behind every lyric that I write, and that it comes from what I see around me in the world, like Nightmare in Flames. It's I want to tell the world how stupid war is and kind of fools to let it happen.
It's amazing to see, like, people are like taking this side. I'm like, hey, take the dead kid's side.
Yeah.
Like, the people never want the war. The politicians, and they're making you guys crazy. They're making you crazy. You don't even know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. The first thing to go in war, the first casualty is the truth. So you have all these people, oh, look what's going, and none of that's true. And war is so evil. The war machine is so overwhelming at this point. It's really sad. So thank you for bringing.
Yeah, and I don't know what the political scene like is by you guys, but right here in America, we are so divided right now.
Oh, it's crazy.
Our country is an absolute mess. And
so we see on the news.
Yeah. And where we come from, Chicago, it's a war zone here. It's a shame because it's an absolutely beautiful city, but it's just overrun by corruption right now, and it's tough. But
yeah, especially because you have one side going, oh, well, that side is the only side that's corrupt, and that side is the only side that's good. No, everyone's corrupt. We were talking, me and Stein, before the show. You know, there's a difference between politicians and mafia. You know, politicians wear shittier suits. You know,
Yeah.
but I was telling them, Fred, like back in the day when the mafia ran Chicago, if a kid got hurt, that would be the only kid,
Yeah.
and it would be
Yeah.
taken care of in the neighborhood, and that person who hurt the child would be, you know, dealt with. But you know,
Well, years ago, we're talking when Mayor Daley was here, Vince, 40 years ago?
yeah,
Our city was run with an ironclad fist by Mayor Daley. And when they had riots during the convention one year, he told his police officers, if you see somebody with a Molotov cocktail or weapon in their hand, shoot to kill. And you
Yeah.
can't even think of that nowadays. First
Yeah,
of all, there's 40 camera phones on you.
put fire hoses on them. You know, like
Yeah, but he basically said if someone's out to hurt someone, shoot to kill, ask questions later. You can't do that nowadays. It's a sad world. It's a sad world, unfortunately.
yeah.
I remember a quote from well, of all films, you know, Smokey and the Bandit.
Dude, I love that.
This sheriff here for T Justice, he said to his son, "What is this world coming to?" And that is true. What is
My name is Buford P. Justice.
bitch?
What a great movie, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's really unfortunate that you know, it's come to this point, and we need music and great entertainment to bring people together.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's finger pointing and no one knows what they're talking about. And like I had this young coworker talking, and I finally just looked at him and I went, "Is everyone you know a victim?" Like seriously, like is that all you can do is fucking complain? Like do something, you know? They're like, "Oh, so and so can't do this." I'm like, "Yeah, they're fucking lying." They're like, "What?" I'm like, "You guys need to be talked to, like, you know, everyone's tiptoeing around you guys, walking on eggshells, protecting your feelings."
Yeah.
What, like if World War III started right now, we're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're done. We're done. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's all of us doing it, and the kids are hiding, you know, trying to get their phones to work or something. But
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean,
It
not
used to
every,
be,
of course, but it's unfortunate. And I think
I
the
used-
pendulum's coming back from all the woke crap, all the heavy complaining, but hopefully.
Yeah. I used to be a really big sports fan. I've gotten kind of away from it the last few years because sports used to be a release from reality. You just get lost in a game for 2 or 3 hours, but now it's becoming so politically motivated, which is why I've gotten way, way, way more involved in music because music is at it. Music's still a fantasy. You can still
Right.
get wrapped up and lost into it. And even the songs, you could just get lost in music. And I go to a lot of concerts. There's no better experience than being at a concert for 3 hours and just getting lost in the music.
Yeah, like there was this thing with you guys heard of the Bud Light controversy when they had this Dylan Mulvaney. He's a you know, trans guy with the beer, whatever, and created this whole shitstorm. And people are like, I can't believe. I'm like, no, it's not that. It could have been anyone doing anything. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, when we were growing up, if we didn't want to deal with politics, we could turn on, like Fred said, we could turn on a game.
Yeah.
You're not going to hear about it. Or you'd go to a movie theater.
Yeah.
Chewbacca, R2D2, Han Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You turn on the TV. Fred Flintstone. You know,
Yeah.
excellent, whatever. Well, Fred turned on his game. They were talking politics. Now he's not watching that. And then Stein goes to see Star Wars, and now there's a political message there that they didn't even. He just wanted to be entertained while he ate his dinner. And then David saw something on TV, and he's like, "Oh no, I can't watch that because they've ruined that." And then the one thing that guys had, it was in their garage, in the refrigerator, but even worse, in their hand. You went in their hand, in their refrigerator, in their garage where they're trying to get away from everybody and everything. And now what's in their hand is you've made political. I think that's what everyone was like, enough. It has nothing to do, whatever the message was, has nothing to do with that. Why? Our generation, we don't care. We accepted everyone. The reason why you never heard complaining about it, because we didn't complain about it, because we accepted everything. So all these people complaining about another generation not accepting it, we made it happen. So maybe read a book, quit putting ideas in people's hands, let them be who they are. They're not hurting anybody. You know what I mean? It's okay to have a varying opinion, and opinion is never fact. And they started treating it like fact, and it got really weird.
Yeah. Right on.
That's what I love about music. You know, you can express yourself through the music, and you can have any opinion you want to, and you can tell the people what you think.
Right.
And, hopefully somebody agrees with you, and they do. It's like you said, everything now is politics, and not only politics, but it's also about money.
Oh,
everything
for sure.
you do is about money. My oldest son, he used to play hockey when he was younger, and that was really fun until he reached his early teens. Then politics started to kick in, and
yeah, just let the kids have fun.
Yeah. But it wasn't fun anymore because there was so much pressure on him, and you have to do this, and you have to be better than him and them and everything like that, and it was no fun no more.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You know, like when you have a band like Judas Priest release a song called Panic Attack, and they address it full on. If you guys haven't heard that song yet, check out
the
lyric video. I mean, Judas Priest is singing about memes.
Yeah.
You know, for the mighty priest to come along, and maybe they're the only ones who could say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the way that they did. Because, of course, there's a reason why all these kids are crazy, because they're making them that way. Quit filling their lives with anxiety. You know what I mean? Like, give them, hey, here's a problem-solving idea. You know, what? Like, is there a show anywhere that they offer stuff like that? You know, hey. You know,
first things first is you let the kids be kids. Let them grow up.
Yeah.
Let them grow up. Let them be kids. Let them enjoy life. Don't have them making these decisions at 5, 6 years old. I think Bill Maher put it best when he said, if you let a 6-year-old kid decide what he wants to be, we're going to have a world full of pirates and princesses. He goes, nobody knows what they want to do when they're 6 or 7. Let them be kids. Let them grow up.
Yeah.
You think about it. I mean, being an adult sucks, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure.
You got responsibilities.
Not when we have a music we can escape it.
Yeah. Be like Alice. Be like Alice.
Yeah.
Exactly. Otherwise, we're gonna have to send Vader after you.
Yeah. Use the force.
One has to be allowed to be oneself. You know, no matter what you are. If you feel like a kid, well, then be a kid. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know, and people are like, you know, and just to have a conversation about it, even around the edges, some people get squirrely because, you can't talk about that. And then I try explaining, you know, to these kids, I'm like, hey, this is exactly how we had the issues in Europe last century, is this kind of mindset. And you're telling everyone else it's them. No. It's not them. Like, watch who you follow. You know, there's a very important lesson to be learned there. You know, and it's dangerous. And the thing with free speech and the constraints they're putting on that's what really bothers me personally. That's my issue. But you know, people should have the right to say what they say, even if it's ugly. Because I want to see the warts. I don't want them hiding, because that's when they fester and come out worse. You know.
Yeah. What's going on around in certain places now? It's just terrible. You know, it's so heartbreaking to see all those innocent people get hurt and killed and injured for life, and everything is just destroyed. It's terrible.
Yeah, and there's no way to, especially the situation I believe we're talking about in the middle of somewhere.
Yeah,
is you know, there's no way not to have civilian casualties and destruction because everyone's right together. There's no way around it.
No.
You know, and I mean, it's been going on forever. You know, that
It has, and it probably will go on forever too.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
but so what can you say? I mean, how can you not be affected by this?
Right.
So
Look at this. Look at this. Four metalheads discussing world peace, and we're figuring it out for the world. You guys, this is what you got to do.
Pigs.
Yeah. Take it from the metal elders. This is
Yeah, that's right.
But you know, like before I mean, there was, you know, we did have protest songs and like, you know, folk writers like Neil Young and all those guys back in the day. And all those guys have sold their music catalogs. It's amazing what these people are getting for the music catalogs.
Yeah. Crazy money.
Yeah, so Justin Bieber, what did he get? Like $350 million or something? And it's only for like 10 years worth of work. It's I don't know if anyone's gonna, you know, use that to sell cars, but I guess.
In 10 years, nobody's gonna remember that anyway. So
right. Yeah. And then there's, you know, there's a couple of companies that are going around and just buying up all these rights to music. You know, it's like, okay, they've got a lot of money, but they can't possibly make that back.
No.
You know, I mean, you know, 500 million for Bowie, or, you know, 300 million for Iggy, and then you got all this stuff. How are they going to make this money back?
I don't think it's about getting the money back. I think it's about domination. You know, they want to dominate the market and set the rules.
Money's just a side product.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But
True.
okay, so what are your guys' plans for going into 2024? What does the new year look like for you guys?
Well, I think it's gonna be a lot of songwriting and a lot of exciting gigs. We're aiming at some festivals and some club work.
Yeah.
Right on. And do you guys work with a booking company or a booking agent?
Yeah, we have a promoter. Yes.
Right on.
So he's handling Scandinavia for us. So
okay.
So we just wanna we wanna do a lot of, you know, we're gonna support Geoff Tate.
There it is.
And it's a sold out show, so we can play for a lot of people, and so we want to do stuff like that in the beginning, because we need to expose ourselves to as many as possible. So doing support job for bigger bands and festivals is great for us, because that will spread the word and build fans.
I know your debut, your album release party was a sold out show in Crossit. Is that right?
Yeah,
Crossit?
that's true. Yeah.
So that must have been amazing. So have you done some other shows since that one?
No, we haven't done any shows since that one. We're now just preparing for Jeff and the guys.
Gearing up.
But your Virgin show to be sold out is pretty badass.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
you're gonna have a great show in Oslo.
So
I mean, that just proves like you guys are well liked. You obviously, people know who you are locally and everything else, and for it to be sold out is pretty damn cool. Because as everyone knows, getting people those first few gigs, man, sometimes can be, you know, like pulling teeth.
Yeah. It was, and it was the gig was the day the album came out, so the only thing people had heard before that was the 3 singles.
That's even better.
So it was a great start. And the response was amazing. Yeah, the response was amazing as well. So, and that was actually the first time the 5 of us were on the stage together. So that was kind of exciting. And
that's another thing with technology. How did you guys rehearse? Did you just learn your parts and then like, okay, here we go, guys? Or did you have like at least one day of in room practice?
We had a lot of practice before.
Oh, okay. So no one was like zooming in or anything.
No. We live around Oslo, everyone. So
gotcha.
we had a rehearsal space in downtown, so we meet up there and rehearse together. So
Yeah,
So
and we
how
were
did
talking.
you meet and come up with the other guitar player, Johan? How did he get into the fold?
and that's a story because we started recording this album, just the three of us, David, me, and the drummer Peppa, and we were actually done recording bass, drums, guitars, and vocals, and the only thing that was left was kind of the lead guitar work. And as the recording proceed, I felt that we really needed something special on a lead guitar. So we were looking around, and actually it was a friend of mine who is a guitar teacher who suggested Johan. He's 25 years old today. He was 24 when we recorded the album. So he's really young, and we got in touch with him, and he put guitars on the three first songs, and it was just spot on. He nailed it, and he also, he didn't just play the lead guitar. I told him just to play around, put a lot of stuff on, and we will use what we like, and we kind of kept a lot of it because it kind of lifted the whole thing. He kind of threw magic sparkles all over the place.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that was
he had a great touch to it.
Yeah, fantastic.
And then, as we talked about earlier, that when you needed a bass player, you just went outside the door and said, "Who wants to play bass?"
Yeah.
Somebody came in, and that's it, right? The band was complete.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was actually funny because when we did the release gig, and Johan, he comes from a town on the West Coast, and we met his father for the first time because he came to the gig, and he is a huge metalhead, like you, Fred, so he's going to. So he's such a fan, the father, and he loves it so much. So it's fun. It's really fun. Yeah.
Cool. It's great how it all came together.
We were talking to Rozario, and so we're talking, about him and his band. And before, they haven't played in the room together yet. Together.
No.
And their album's out, and they're waiting for their first show. I'm like, that's just, we would never imagine that when we were kids.
No.
That's just crazy that it's able to happen. Number one, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, back in the day, you couldn't have a band if you didn't have somewhere to rehearse.
No.
Nowadays, everybody can sit in their own chair and do everything, and put it in the computer and.
We're in a garage, man, 120 degrees, sweating our ass off at the Fostex 4-track.
Yeah.
And the cop would come over for the sound complaint, and then one day he's like, "Hey, like there's apartment buildings like 3 blocks from here. They just threw out all this carpet. You guys could use it for soundproof." He put it in his fucking cop car, in his trunk, because he liked us, because we weren't out like causing trouble. We were diligently every day for 4 hours driving the whole neighborhood crazy.
Yeah.
And we are the best thing ever was the furthest away sound complaint was 6 blocks.
Oh, that's good.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
That's good.
And
that's the thing you love.
It's good memories, when being a musician and making music was something real,
Yeah, and now you see these kids, 8 years old, and they're playing Eddie Van Halen, they're playing Steve Vai, they're playing, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Like, wait a minute.
You can't beat the feeling, I can sit down in my home studio in the basement, doing all the stuff.
Sure.
But nothing beats coming to the rehearsal space.
Right.
You crank up the amp and you when you can feel the sound in your back. That's when you come alive. Yeah.
It's interesting.
David, who are some of your influences musically, vocalists?
For me?
Yeah.
I think that Rob Halford is one of my major inspirations. I love his way of singing and his range. And well, I have a lot of heroes. Jeff Tate is certainly one of them. David Coverdale, he's also one big inspiration. You know,
Yeah.
I kind of like his bluesy way of doing things.
Yeah.
Mm.
And nowadays I have another additional hero, and he's from Croatia. Probably think maybe you heard of him, Dino Jelusic.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna bring him up. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dino's fantastic.
He is awesome, absolutely. It sounds like he just kept on where Coverdale
Yeah.
left it. Yeah.
Well, he just
Wow,
released
cool.
a statement that he will not be taking over vocal.
Yeah, we saw that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we saw it.
You know, like last night.
heard
You know,
that
when I was,
interview.
you know, last night I was listening to you know, like all the Zoom jams that they did over the pandemic. You know,
Yeah.
one came up and it was Dino with Portnoy and
Joel was
Joel
in-
Hoekstra,
yeah,
and
Yeah.
they did Jane
yeah.
Yeah.
by Jefferson Starship. Now,
Yeah.
Fred, do you know of this song Jane by Jefferson Starship that was done in the 10th?
I love Jane. Jane.
Oh,
yeah. I love that
What a
song.
great, you know,
Yeah.
then I was like, you know, I think I'm going to do a documentary about all the cool stuff that musicians did during the pandemic that
Yeah,
got
it's
everyone
true.
through. Like, seriously, if it wasn't for all these guys figuring out how to do this over a Zoom call,
Mm.
and the next thing you know, we had all this great music and it was lifting people up and they were sharing, you know what I mean? It was,
Yeah.
you know, I'm glad to see that the world got to see, even if they didn't acknowledge it, how important creators and artists were
Yeah.
for everyone's, I mean, for our survival, because
Mm.
that no one knew what was going on,
No.
you know, and if it wasn't for authors and musicians and comedians, you know, unbelievable.
Well, anyway, that was just a few of my inspirations, you know. And
Yeah.
when I rehearse, I listen to a lot of music, even opera, you know, just to strengthen my chords.
Fred, opera's that music thing where the lady with the horns usually.
Yeah.
I know. The fat lady that sings when the games are over, right? I know.
I think they put in the Warner Brothers cartoons, and you know,
It's
true.
Figaro.
it's too late, Vince. I'm sorry.
Iguodiza.
Well, I've had my. I always ask musicians that who is your Mount Rushmore of lead singers? You know, the 4 top lead singers, and my 3 are always Halford, Tate, and Dio.
Yeah.
And it's that 4th one that I keep. All right, Sebastian Bach. Oh, wait a minute. How about Coverdale? Oh, how about Paul Rogers? So there's just so many incredibly talented vocalists.
It's far too many to mention, really.
Right.
Yeah, and Paul Rogers, he lost his voice.
Oh,
Completely.
He had 13 strokes, went under a
yikes.
procedure, lost his voice, had to learn to walk again, had to learn to talk again. He
Wow.
never warmed up vocally, so he had all these mini strokes, and he just came out with the solo album, and now he's talking about all the heart issues he had. But
Wow.
he sounds better than he ever has at you know 125 years old or however old he is. He is outdone himself, and he's great. And
Fantastic.
you know,
Fantastic.
but he comes from that generation of something happens, man. Shut up, stay quiet.
Yeah. Well, we interviewed the bass player from Flotsam and Jetsam last month, and he toured with Halford for a short period of time. And he said he had to learn all these songs, and he said he's in the studio trying to learn them. And then they said, "Oh, Rob will be here in 5 minutes." He said Rob walks in right off the street, sits down on the couch, and just starts belting out the tunes. Didn't warm up, nothing. He just starts belting them out, and he goes, he sounded just like Halford. He goes, didn't even warm up, just starts belting them out.
Wow.
I mean, that's that's an amazing talent right there.
And I'm like, what was the coolest
it's-
moment, you know? And he's like, I forget what tune he was it Electric Eye or something?
I think so. Yeah.
He's jamming, and he said he just looked over, and Halford was like right in his face, and they had that, that one moment, man.
Yeah.
For all of us, our hairs on our arms stood up, like, oh my god,
Yeah.
What an
cool.
awesome experience.
Cool.
oh for sure. And then Judas Priest is coming out with a new album in March, another one. Their last album was fantastic.
Yeah, it's crazy that late in their career, and they kind of making one of the best albums.
Still doing it. Still
best
doing
album since Painkiller for sure. Yeah. So I love that album.
This last one here, now you see Richie's starting to be able to stretch out a little bit out of and that's probably a lot self-imposed, just to be fair. Because he has high respect for the music and the band and everything. So a lot of that was probably he doesn't want to freak anyone out, and now he's been there long enough now where he can kind of put his mark on Priest.
Yeah.
And what an amazing band. I mean, 72 years old singing that? No way.
And he sounds better than ever,
Yeah.
When you hear that Panic Attack song, Jesus, listen to that.
I mean, I even like Total Eclipse of the Heart with him and Doro Pesh doing,
I haven't heard that one yet.
Yeah, they released that like last week.
I saw that.
Yeah.
It's
all right, for what it is, a one-time thing. You're hanging out with your friends, you put it on once, have a beer over it, you're good.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be something you're going to listen to all the time.
No.
But to hear those two voices on that song from when we were kids is kind of cool, in my opinion. But
yeah.
Well, didn't he do something with Dolly Parton too?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think he did Jolene, right? Jolene.
That was on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He came over and sang live with her on Jolene, but he's on a couple of her tracks on the Rock and Roll record she just put out.
Yeah.
And Halford, people are like, oh, why is he doing that? Why is he doing that? Why? Because he's an icon and he can, and people are asking him. Like he's hit that above Ozzy point.
Yeah.
Like he's up there now with like Paul McCartney and Rod Stewart and everyone wants the guy to appear.
And I mean at his age, we had to do the things we think we are fun, because suddenly we're not here. So why it's not that dangerous anymore as it maybe used before. It used to be before, Now we just
and he's giving everyone hope.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, the when we were coming up, 60, that was 60 is totally different. Look at Fred. Look at how good he looks. Look at Fred over there, metalhead Fred.
I would never have guessed 60.
Yeah, look at that. Look at those jeans. Look at those teeth. Great smile.
I would like to say it's from Good Living, but that would be one hell of a lie. And I'll drink to that.
Yeah, it's all the conservatives.
You have a lot of fun, I guess. That's why.
Yeah. I do.
But you know what I'm saying? Like now we know, like I was saying earlier, bands now know that they can have a 40-year go. It's going to be hard work and they got to figure it out, And people are like, oh, why do you work so much? Well, I work 2 shitty jobs so I can do this.
Yeah.
And write my book so I can talk to Stein and David in Norway from my fucking living room.
Yeah.
When 20 years ago, never in a million years would I thought I'd be doing that.
No.
So when we're doing our 30th anniversary show, Vince, you and I, and we bring these 2 guys on for a reunion talk. Think about how cool that'll be. We'll be in iron lungs and they'll still be rocking. But that's okay.
Count us in. Count us in. Yeah.
Fred, did you shit your pants? Yeah.
Now we'd love to have you guys back on again, especially when the new album comes out, and
absolutely
hear about the show with Tate and how great the new album's doing and the new one coming out.
And do you have any more music videos coming this way?
Who knows? Could be. We haven't discussed that one yet.
Okay. Well, we'll cover you guys on Monday Metal. We can do it for next week. We'll cover. But if we do come out with another music video, let us know immediately, and we will cover it for you for sure.
We have 3 videos out already. So I don't know if you have seen.
I've seen one.
Yeah.
But
I want to see the next. I want to see the next one with your vet in it, David. Somehow get that vet in there. For me.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Yeah. So we'll do at least one, maybe 2 Monday medals. Get you guys in there. Get you guys some promotion, and then of course, anytime you have something coming out, come on the show. We'd love to have you. And any updates at all, let us know. We'll read them off on the show. And
absolutely,
we'll send you a picture with Jeff when we meet.
Yeah.
Oh,
do
absolutely.
that for sure. Yeah. Send that to my email, and as soon as
I have not talked to Jeff Tate yet in my life, and that's one of my goals. I have to thank him because his song "Take Hold of the Flame" literally saved my life. So I've thanked all the other members of the writing of that song.
Yeah.
I just have to thank him, and people are like, "Oh, you don't have to." I'm like, "You don't know me." Yes, I do have to thank him.
Yeah.
It's my goal. My goal is to get him on here for Vince one day. I got to get him on here.
Yeah, you have to.
And his band, you're gonna love his band. His guitar players are phenomenal, young guys. Dario, James, and Jack. They are just phenomenal guys. You'll have such a good time with these guys.
Yeah.
Maybe if they want to make a picture with a couple of rookies from Norway.
Oh, of course. So these guys are from all over the place. They're really cool guys. You guys are probably, tip a few with them, I'm sure. They seem like a fun bunch to hang with, for sure.
One of the highlights of my life, David and Seth Stein, is on my 65th birthday, I was on a tour with Jeff Tate. He does this Backstage Pass travel tour, and that's how I got to meet him. So on my 65th birthday, we were in Montana, and he sang "Happy Birthday" to me. I can die happy now. Jeff Tate sang "Happy Birthday" to me.
What a treat!
That was so cool. That was so cool. So
that's
you guys are gonna have a kick-ass time.
Oh, Fred was sitting there with his box of Kleenex.
Yeah.
Sing it again, Jeff. I would have a heart attack if Jeff Tate sung me "Happy Birthday." But what a talented guy. I mean, I'm glad you guys, are backing up one of the legendary masters of the microphone. And, Jeff gets a bad rap here and there. I think people have pretty much gotten over the divorce of Queensryche. Both entities putting out great music, putting out great shows. It's okay to like everybody. It's a good thing. That means more music. And, Jeff absolutely is incredibly talented. And I want to talk to him about his wine when he comes on. But, he's just an incredibly talented guy. He has everyone's respect. He doesn't demand it. It's an earned, So
absolutely,
for you guys getting on that, and then hopefully all the promoters, all the people that are booking festivals, please go check out this band, book them. And you won't be sorry. And you won't have any problems on the road with these guys.
Right. And everybody out there, check out their album, To the Gods We Swear. Yeah. Check it out. That's Rozario with a Z. It's a kick-ass album. You can check out my review, and I'll get that over to you guys as soon as it's posted. Cool. And
who did the artwork for the album cover? Do you know offhand?
It's a French guy. He's called Stan W. Decker, and he does he does Megadeth, he does Striper, and he's an amazing, he paints. If you see the Striper covers, they are painted.
I know exactly who he is. Yeah. I'm a huge Striper fan.
And he does a lot of album covers, and he's amazing, and he works very fast. We just told him we had an idea what we wanted.
You guys were lucky to get him.
Yeah, I just contacted him on Facebook, and he said sure, and we told him our idea, and just a few days later, this thing appeared. It's just wow, what the fuck, man? It's crazy, and I follow him on Facebook. He makes stuff all the time, and he's a huge Iron Maiden fan, so he makes like fans edit things, which look much better than the Iron Maiden covers, So it's he's crazy. I guess a lot of the albums you see nowadays from Frontiers and labels like that, he made the covers. He makes a lot of them, and that's
awesome.
That's good. It keeps working.
Yeah,
that's a great album cover, man.
Yeah,
you can't look away from it.
No, it pops out right out. So And then that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted something to see. Wow, what's this? You know, when you saw when you were a kid and you went to the record store and you saw the Killers album from Iron Maiden, you just had to have it because
90% of all album sales were because of the album cover.
Yeah, sure, and we wanted that feeling on our cover. You know, so when you're looking through. And you see this, wow, what the fuck is this? You know, I need to hear this. So
yeah,
and the title is also To the Gods We Swear. It's of course to our Norwegian heritage, but it's also to Geoff Tate, to Rob Halford, to Yngwie Malmsteen, and all of those our heroes from when we grew up.
Right.
So those are the gods we swear to. Yeah.
Ready to deliver.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much for coming on. We appreciate it. And of course, you're welcome at any time. You got something to say, come on. If you just want to hang out, come on.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
So it's very
nice for having us.
Thank you, Stein.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Best of luck moving forward on everything.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So go get yourself right now. Go out and buy Rozario To the Gods We Swear. And go buy your ticket to see them and Tate together if you already haven't. And
it's a sold out show now. So
sold out.
It's too late.
Well, sold out. Good deal. Good deal.
Better luck next time.
That's a great problem to have. So promoters, they sold out with Tate and they sold out their opening show. So here's a band.
So if you book us, we guarantee to sell out.
There you go.
We have 100. All the gigs we have so far have been sold out.
2 for 2.
Absolutely. So go book these guys. You won't regret it. And
absolutely.
They'll be back here on CreatiVity Talking. I'm Vince. That's Metalhead Fred. We'll see you next time. Horns up.